Good morning. This is Andrea Praver with Great Expectations Realty, and it's Saturday morning at 10 a.m., which means it's time for What's Up Ocala. Today, I am joined by Alexis, and he's going to explain everything there is to know about property management. Well, at least 20 minutes worth. So, Alexis, why don't you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and how to get in touch with you?
Well, hello. My name is Alexis Sofield. I am a property manager here at Great Expectations, and you can reach me at 352-843-1922.
Okay, very cool. So what are you going to tell us about right now? I mean, probably what is property management would be pretty helpful.
Right.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, is that where you like go out and clean lawns up or something? I mean, what is property management as opposed to like property maintenance?
Yeah, so there's a big difference there, obviously. But property management basically is an oversight of real estate by a third-party company, which is us, property management division at Great Expectations.
Okay, so what is it you do? I mean, like, walk me through the steps.
So there's two parts. One is leasing, the acquisition of a tenant. In the state of Florida, we can't draw up the lease, but we use an attorney that specializes in landlord-tenant law, which is important. So there's a leasing aspect. We screen, we show, we market the property, and that is the leasing aspect, which we offer a la carte, by the way.
A la carte. So they could just hire you just for the leasing.
Just for the leasing, correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. So you lease out a property. So you do like the showings, you do the screening of the tenants, you do basically all of the stuff that some of the owners are not really sure how to do. And then property management, what do you do with management? What does that involve?
That's just the day-to-day management of the property, which includes arranging maintenance. Not that we go out and actually turn a screw, but we have certain vendors that we work with, build relationships with over the years, and we make sure that all the safety issues are met and that the owner is compliant with the Florida statute, which is a big one that most owners are not aware of, is the being compliant with the Florida statutes, and that is your heating, which is weird because Florida, the law.
You would think air conditioning would be required, but heating, okay.
Yeah, so by law, you have to have heating, the plumbing, electrical, any kind of safety issue. And we make sure that the owner is compliant with that. So any of those repairs, we make sure we take care of that. And any kind of complaints or small repairs that are needed in the property, the tenant will communicate with us, which is another benefit of having property management because we know these laws and we make sure that they are
upheld, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So we manage the property, and we act as a liaison, I guess, with vendors, and we're using our vendor list.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of owners over the years, and they never want to be the bad guy because the tenant always wants the Taj Mahal, and the owner basically does not want to put any money into the property. That's you're kind of walking that tightrope all the time. So it is a very difficult job to do, to run that that balance in between the two to make sure that the tenant's needs are taken care of. Not necessarily their wants, you're not going to put a swimming pool in, but you are going to go ahead and take care of that tenant, what their needs are, and make sure that the property is maintained well. So what other things do you do for a property? Is it just, okay, well, the tenant's in there, so they're going to put in a report? I mean, how did they even turn in a report?
So interestingly, we're going to this new program. Okay. And this new program is the gold standard when it comes to property management. It's a really robust program, but there's different ways that the tenant can communicate with a property management company to put in a work order, is what we call it. And so there's different ways of communicating. That's all spelled out in the lease, and it avoids contact with the landlord, owner, and the tenant. Just an example would be the ceiling fans not working. They put in a work order, they can email us, put it in writing, or use our new program that we're using, which is really awesome. Really excited about that.
Yeah, because it's got an app and stuff. They can actually do it from their phones, right?
Yeah, the communication's absolutely insane and amazing and super robust, and it's going to really streamline everything. Yeah. And that's the other thing about that. The app, we actually we hold accounting ledgers for the owners, so we can pull up reports, especially for their tax reasons at the end of the year. So it's a lot more than just managing the property.
It's just all the paperwork.
Yes, all the above.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, which I don't have to do the accounting myself.
We've got a bookkeeper for that.
Yeah. But that's what you get when you hire property management. You get all that recorded.
Right. So there's all of the auditing at the end of the year that you want to do to turn in, it's basically all done for you.
Right.
So, I mean, that alone is basically worth it. But then also not having, somebody call you at 2:00 in the morning saying, my fan is wobbling or my toilet is running or something like that is really helpful. So, and also, I mean, we really have a lot of that screened out. I mean, sometimes the tenants will call with a question or something, and it's like, oh, this is an easy fix. We can just do it over the phone, Sometimes it's as easy as turning the fuse box over.
Right. Or if you have multiple properties, an owner that has 6, 7 properties, they're going to want to filter all these calls. Right. So to them, it's worth it, time versus money.
Oh, right.
To hire a property manager.
Once you get into, 6, 7, 10, 20 properties, you really have to, even as an independent owner doing your own management, you really have to have a software system to even accept rent. I mean, for us, even with, rental applications, that's all done online. And then, they do it with their debit or credit card. And then to pay the application fee for their screening and stuff. Their rents are paid through the app. I mean, they could go to a CVS or whatever and pay cash, but
which is also pretty neat.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah. So it's basically make it as easy as possible for the tenants to pay their rent.
We're into 2022. We have all these great features that come with property management. So just being able to, as a property owner, let's say you have 10 properties, and you're not getting a random check in the mail from this property or that property. We aggregate all those payments, send you the one payment if you'd like to accept the one payment for all your properties minus all the fees, and it's all there for you in a report that you can print out for you.
Oh, that sounds scary. All the
and
fees.
Automatic.
Automatic. What was it? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. The automatic, it can go right into your bank account.
Oh, okay. So you've got a direct deposit system.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so when you say all those fees, that makes
right, I know that sounded scary.
So scary, right?
Well, the maintenance. The maintenance, if I had to repair a ceiling fan, you'll have that in the report, and that's not a fee, but that's a charge because of the owner is responsible for paying
for the maintenance.
The maintenance.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. So, what are your fees for? Well, I shouldn't say yours because it doesn't go to you; it goes to the company. But what are the company fees? Right. How's the company compensated for the property management aspect?
So, if you're single, if you have one door, we manage one property for you. The fee typically is 10%.
Okay.
Of the gross rent.
Okay, so
collected.
One door, collect it. So what if they don't pay the rent?
So it depends on how we set it up. Or I think right now, you're the broker, so I'm going to refer to you.
But right now, it's thrown under the bus.
In the property agreement that we have set now, it is gross collected rent.
Right. So if they don't pay their rent, we don't get paid either, which is, I think, pretty fair. And plus, a lot of tenants actually, or a lot of owners were really worried that their tenants weren't going to pay rent, or what happens at that. We have that lawyer on standby. So, 3-day notice. How many times have you had to post a 3-day notice?
Right.
Countless at this point.
Right.
So, I mean, we of course want tenants that are going to pay rent on time. But we have those forms from an attorney that literally says you have 3 days to pay rent or scoot. So having those forms are just amazing.
Right, and that's the other beauty of property management is being compliant with Florida tenant landlord law, is that we do everything in that way, preparing ourselves for the absolute worst case scenario of eviction.
Yeah. So something that we're rolling out with this new program starting in April, which is really exciting.
Right.
Now. So something that we're rolling out is an actual eviction guarantee, which is unheard of around here. So we are so sure that we're going to give you a great tenant that's going to pay their rent on time, and you're not going to have those issues, because that's a risk. I mean, that's the big scary thing with property management is what if we have to do an eviction? How long is it going to take, and all of that. So
there's
to
some
actually,
horror stories out there.
oh yeah,
that's why a lot of owners get scared.
Oh yeah, but you notice a lot of those horror stories are self-managed, and they don't know their own rights.
Right.
And Florida, I think, is fairly equal as far as landlord rights versus tenant rights. There are some states that are more tenant friendly, and there are some that are more landlord friendly. I think Florida does a pretty good job of 50-50. They try and really make it fair for everyone, which is hard to do. As far as we
remain compliant
with
our notices. And that's big in property management. It happens all the time in our meetings every Monday. Where, all right, we have this coming up, we have this, we need to make this notice. Yeah. So we like to do that because we like to plan accordingly for the future.
So we have 4 full-time property managers. You are one of those.
Yes.
And we have a property management assistant. We also have a full-time bookkeeper. So we're pretty ready for growth, especially the new system and the new website that we're rolling out, which is
Right.
GER.ExpectMore.com. So that's exciting too.
Wow, nice plug.
Yeah, right? Yeah, thank you. I'm so talented that way. But yeah, so we are putting that guarantee in writing for the whole world to see, which is really exciting stuff. So some really cool stuff coming.
Almost like you
with
have to be
management.
confident in your systems
Yeah.
in order to put that guarantee out.
Yeah, it really is. But I think, looking over the years, our record is pretty good for, the tenants that we put in place are fantastic tenants. So, it's a guarantee that we can actually stand behind. So I think it's pretty good. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is.
That's good.
Okay, so you're not going to leave me out there, right? You're going to put some good tenants in.
Oh, right. I'm going to ruin your streak.
Right, I know. Like all of a sudden, oh no.
Right.
No, we're doing really well with that. I think the biggest issue that we have is honestly the tenants we call inherited tenants.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So sometimes, not always, we will have owners that have multiple properties, and they will actually bring their entire portfolio or all of their properties over from another management company or from their self-management over to us, and there's already some tenants in place. A lot of times those tenants were never even screened or have a security deposit.
Or there's no lease on file.
I have no idea how this can even happen. In our world, it's just, it doesn't happen. Like in here, you come in here, no, it just doesn't happen. But yeah, so we'll end up with these inherited tenants, and those are normally the evictions and stuff because they haven't even paid rent in like 6 months. It's craziness.
And if there's an existing lease, that's binding. You can't just, some owners will say, hey, just put them on a new lease. You can't, we can't do that.
No, even when they're buying a property, because that is sometimes what happens is that owner is like, you know what, this is a lot more than I thought it was. So I'm going to just go ahead and sell all of these houses at once, or duplexes or multifamily homes or whatever, all at once. The new owner gets it, and sometimes they don't even know what they're buying, and then they come in. No, normally when they're purchasing multiple properties like that, they have a pretty good idea, but not always. So they'll come in, and so we have all of these questions more than answers, and sometimes it's just we kind of have to let it play out and see what happens. What tenants are actually ones we want to keep in the property, which ones are maintaining it. When you get properties, several properties at once, what's like the first thing that you do?
Oh, the first thing I do, that's a good question. First thing is I go out to the property, put eyes on the property, talk to the tenant, familiarize myself with the property itself, and do an inspection on every single one of them to see what's missing.
Inside and out?
Inside and out. I do it all. This way I capture it and I know what I inherited, what the problems are. Sometimes the owners don't even realize because their previous property management company didn't do their job.
Right. Well, a lot of times I've been talking about this a few times. I've touched on it. Some of these owners are actually getting property management companies from like Orlando or Tampa or their bigger companies with a great reputation, but at the same time, if it's an hour or two away, I mean, can you imagine having 10, 15 properties over in Orlando? You have to go and do inspections. Yeah. So, like, what are you going to do with that?
I try to be serious for too long.
It doesn't work for very long for you. No. So
you can't effectively do your job if you're an hour and a half away.
Right. I mean, that would be what I would consider an absentee owner, and they're doing basically an absentee property management.
Absentee owner and absentee,
yeah, that's not going to work.
Right.
So, I mean, if they have maybe they have an agent in the area or something. I don't know, but that would be a concern for me.
Sounds like they're just acquiring a tenant and then collecting the fee and maybe going out there once a year if they can.
Right.
But we're here. We're local with Central Florida. I'm probably 20, 30. Marion County is pretty big.
Oh, it is.
To go from one side to the next.
Yeah.
But we try to keep property managers kind of in their little spots.
It's true. So yeah, if you have something in Ocklawaha and then you have something in Denellen, which we have properties in both of those areas, that's a pretty good trek.
Right.
If you're doing 3 days and stuff.
As a team. And usually if I'm on the one side of the county and the other property manager on the other side kind of help each other out. So.
Yeah, I've seen you guys do that. It's like if they have some 3-day notices, they'll sit at the table and they'll all kind of like, oh, are you going to Bellevue? Or are you going to Nellen? Okay, and they swap them out so that you don't have to go. Can you imagine just both being in the same neighborhood and be like, oh yeah, I'm about to go drive 45 minutes to another? Yeah, that would be terrible. So yeah, that's some craziness. What's one of the aspects that you think for people that are considering? I know there's a lot of first timers out there. Maybe they inherited a house, or maybe they're just getting into it. They didn't really want to do a flip. They wanted to do a buy and hold. They really like that website. What is it? Biggerpockets.com.
Oh yeah, that's a popular one.
Yeah, biggerpockets.com is really, really good. Good ROI calculators and stuff. But anyway, what's some of the pros and cons that you think for people that are getting into investing? Because you're getting into some of your own properties, right?
Right.
Maybe possibly, yeah.
Well, so that's another reason why I got into property management, is because I want to know this side of the business as well. What does that really mean? So is it worth it for me to buy and rent out property? That's really on a personal level. There's, like she said, Bigger Pockets has that rate of return, return on investment. And usually you'll notice that they always have a vacancy percentage. It's usually like 10% or something like that. So it automatically assumes that it's going to be vacant for 10% of the time, and as well as the management fees. They'll put that in there as well. And if that number matches up to you and it's worth your time and you like that rate of return, then property manager is probably for you, especially if you're looking into maybe building your portfolio and having more than 1 or 2 properties and want to get 5, and that's worth it to you, and have somebody else do all the legwork like property management. And because sometimes it's got to be worth your time. You have to, time and money it's really funny. Some people rather have more time and less money. Some people rather work all day to save a nickel.
It's funny because I say that all the time. I either have time or I have money.
Yeah.
I never have both.
Right. That should be a t-shirt.
Right? Something's in short supply one way or the other.
That's true.
And a lot of times that's the biggest mistake I see that new landlords, we'll say, new investors are getting into, is they're like, oh, I could fix up this house myself on the weekends or something and save myself all this money. But if you consider what the rents are on that house, which, are pretty astronomical right now, I'll be the first to say. But if you say, let's say just a basic 3-2, they're going maybe in Silver Spring Shores, for example, or what, 1,500, 1,600, just for a regular cookie cutter, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double car garage. That is the average right now, is about $1,500, $1,600. If it takes you 2 months to do something that would have taken somebody else doing it only a weekend,
that's exactly what you're talking about.
That's $3,000 that you just wasted because the time aspect. So did you really save anything? And that's something, somebody that is getting into that, we have a lot of newer investors that we work with, and we kind of go over that with them and say, yes, you can do this, but legitimately, how much time do you have to put into this? And is it really going to save you anything in the long run? But that is definitely one of the bigger mistakes that I see people make, is they don't evaluate their time as well as maybe an investor that's like, okay, do you got a guy? Because we can do a lot in 30 days. If you have, our list of people that we work with, we just give you the list and say, here's, who we'd recommend, go at it. They can do it in maybe 30 to 60 days, depending on what needs to be done. New flooring, new paint, new whatever, make it pretty, make it rentable.
Or functional.
Yes, functional is good.
Because some owners or some newer investors, they want to make the house super pretty. They want to spend $20,000 to collect $1,500 a month of rent. And you can do that most certainly, but some owners are like, is it functional?
Yes.
Like, yes. Okay.
Right.
$1,500.
Yeah, you don't want to over improve either, because that's a huge waste of your money too, because you're never going to see that return, right? So, knowing the difference between, being a slumlord, which we definitely don't want to do, and overspending on a property, there is that fine line you got to walk. And really having an experienced property manager know that and have done that.
I know a guy.
Yeah, that's the thing we always say in here. Oh, I know a guy. Oh, I got a guy for that. I know a guy. So having that in there is absolutely fantastic. 100%. Absolutely will save you so much, just because you might not have the experience, but they do. So, it helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah, if you spend the money to save you time, then you can use that time to generate some more income somewhere else. That's how I conduct my personal financing.
Right.
Is I don't mind spending money if it's going to allow me more time to make more money somewhere else, and that's how you can scale up.
Right.
You most certainly can save money if you do it all yourself, but
are you really saving money?
Right.
Yeah.
Some people enjoy that work though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, for a
level.
hobby, hobbies are expensive. I can tell you, I've spent way too much money on hobbies that I maybe did one time and then.
Same here. But don't let my wife see this video.
So, you're like, oh yes, I'm so gonna be into this, and you get all the supplies, and it's like I'm no longer interested.
And then you end up calling somebody, and then you're behind a month, and you spend all this materials.
It's not even a thing. I've definitely done. I think everybody's done that at one point or another. So.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah. So, if we have that in there where, if it is a hobby, great, enjoy your hobby, know that it's going to be an expensive hobby. And I would also say make sure that you actually have the knowledge to do that. A lot of people are like, oh
I can change that bathtub.
yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. I saw a house. I'm not joking. An investor from out of state was looking at a house recently. And I went out and looked at the property. I'm like, yeah, it looks okay. It looks like it needs a lot of work, but it's for the price and everything. It looks reasonable. The inspection happened, and the inspector actually walked around going, "This is not a good house." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I can see there's a lot of work that needs to be done." And he's like, "No, the work that has already been done needs to be redone." For example, the windows, the brand new windows that were installed were attached to the window on top of the siding.
Oh.
So normally you have to take the siding off and you affix the window to the actual frame out of the window. This was not. This was just, so it had like 2 inches thick of silicone just poured.
Just to fill the gap? Wow.
I was like, oh no. And he's like, yeah, all of the siding is going to need to come off. Get this actually attached if you can even use these windows, if they haven't been damaged by this nonsense already. Also, if the siding hasn't been damaged by whatever has been done, it has to be affixed to the actual frame. And I can absolutely promise you this never passed permitting. So doubt seriously that there was permits ever pulled on these windows. So, and it was stuff over and over and over again. That was just one really easy example for him to look at, but it was just over and over stuff that had to be redone because the person that was doing the work didn't really do it in a way that it should have been done. They took a lot of shortcuts. So actually the investor ended up walking away, thankfully, from that really great deal because it just really wasn't. It was going to be a money pit. So it was really good he had that inspection done, actually. But, stuff like that. I mean, my husband and I have purchased homes, and we've done, a lot of rehabs and stuff on homes, and even looking at it, for me, it looked at face value like a pretty good deal, but no, an inspector was easily able to go, no, this is a bad plan, run. So that's great. If an inspector can catch all of that stuff, or even some of it, and give you a heads up, that's literally their job, is to save you from stuff like that. So just having those connections is amazing.
Yeah, the networking and the experience.
Just
and definitely doing the inspection. Some people want to bypass that, but cash buyers don't want to do inspections.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can people get a hold of you? Again, who are you? What do you do? And how can they reach you?
My name is Alexis Sofield. I'm a property manager here at Great Expectations Realty, and you can call me directly on my cell phone, 352-843-1922.
Awesome. All right, let's get into, thank you for joining us today, by
no
the way.
problem.
Let's get into a few statistics. I've got the February statistics out for Central Florida. Really, really interesting as far as active listings. We have not changed much in the active listings. We basically got about the same amount from last year to this year. So kind of interesting there. As far as pending sales, if you go from February of last year to this year, we're down 10%. We're down 2% from just January of this year. And I think a lot of that is that there's just no houses out there to purchase. So there's very, very, very few listings out there. If we had more listings to sell, we would definitely have astronomical numbers right now, but we've kind of already passed that phase. And now we're basically out of houses. We're waiting for them to be built. days on the market. We've got about 22 days on the market. Now keep in mind, for financing, you need 30 days normally to close, if not 45 days if it's like VA, FHA, USDA, something like that. So having 22 days on the market means that there are a lot of cash deals going on. So we're seeing a lot of people selling their homes, taking the equity and purchasing their other home and being mortgage free. That is happening so much. It's down 50% from February of last year. February of last year, it was 44 days on the market. So it's exactly 50% less at this point. And it was about the same in January. There wasn't much change in January. 22 days is 22 days. As far as total sales volume for Central Florida, this is Central Florida, 6.3 billion for the month of February 2022. That's not Marion County. Y'all, don't get too excited.
I was gonna say.
That's 6.3 billion. So that's going to encompass Orlando, even on down to Tampa. So it's a lot of houses involved there for those prices. Now the average sales price for Central Florida for the month of February is $414,127. Now that surprised me, because
But that's all of Central Florida.
that is all of Central Florida. And normally, statistically, Orlando and Tampa have been much higher house cost, house price. However, at this point, we are not that far behind them. For right now, in Ocala, Marion County, the average house price is about $290,000. So kind of interesting. That's a single family home. It doesn't matter if it's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 5 bedroom, whatever. The average house price right now is almost $300,000. Let that sink in for a minute. Yeah. So the days of having a house for, 200,000 are pretty much gone. It really, if it would have to be a house that was, maybe not fixed up or older, definitely dated, something like that. You might get it for around 200,000. But that's almost $100,000 under market. So kind of crazy. A lot of brand new construction that these listings are competing with. And we're starting to see foreclosures come onto the market as well, which we haven't had in the last couple of years because of COVID. We just haven't had those. So as far as months of inventory left on the market, we have less than 1 month of inventory. That means if no other houses hit the market, everything that we have for sale would be gone within a month. So kind of interesting. In Orlando and Tampa, I believe it's only down to like 2 weeks of inventory, if that. So very different with those. Anyway, if you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up. We are available all the time at GreatExpectationsOcala.com, or if you want to talk to Alexis or one of our other property managers, contact us at GreatExpectationsPM.com. All right, you guys have a great Saturday and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.